Ghana is holding presidential and parliamentary elections today amid hopes for an economic revival after what's been called the worst financial crisis in a generation, which led to a major debt default in the West African nation. President Nana Akufo-Addo is stepping down next month after serving the 2 terms allowed by the constitution in the country. The world's second largest cocoa producer and significant gold producer, 12 candidates are vying to succeed him, but the race is seen as primarily between Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia as well as chosen successor of Akufo-Addo's New Patriotic Party and former President John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress. For more on this now, let's speak to SABC News correspondent Nabil Ahmed Rufai. Nabil, good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. Let's just start with things on the ground. Have they been smooth?
Well, indeed, polling started around 7 a.m. across a lot of polling stations in Ghana. I'm at one of the polling stations and you can see things are quite calm here. A lot of people have already voted and polls are expected to close a little under 2 hours from now. And we know that there's been largely a peaceful election so far, except for some pockets of clashes within some polling stations due to the long queues and then the agitation of people who were trying to jump the queue in order to cast their ballots. But then largely it has been peaceful, and aside from that, there's also been concerns around the biometric verification devices which were not working at the start of the voting, but the Electoral Commission has really come up to the task and then was able to resolve those challenges, allowing people to vote.
And when do the polling stations close and also counting beginning?
Indeed, at some of the polling stations that really started on time at 7 a.m. They are supposed to end the polls at 5 p.m. But then the caveat is that if there are voters still in line when it's 5 p.m., they will be allowed to vote. So technically, it may not really end at 5 p.m. Until the last person votes. And counting is expected to start this evening after the polls end. And then the collation will be done by the Electoral Commission across the 276 constituencies. We expect that the final results will be declared by the Electoral Commission by Tuesday, and that's just the readiness for the final result to come out.
And this election, you know, when you look at what has been said, even by ordinary people on the ground, is that it's been overshadowed by, you know, the worst economic crisis, as some have called it, in a generation. And this is no doubt what they are taking to the polls as well.
Well, indeed, the ailing economy is one of the key issues that is likely to determine the outcome of the polls. Whereas there are a lot of people who are not happy about how this particular government has handled the economy, there are others who also sympathize with the ruling government and would want to give them more time in government. But largely, polls have tipped the former president, John Mahama, to win this election. But on the other side, the ruling government is also doing all it can to make sure that it retains power. But at the end of the day, the 90 million people who are voting today will be the final deciders of that.
And let's talk about young people and the crucial role that they play, particularly when you look at, you know, the levels of unemployment and also some of the concerns that they will have as well.
Indeed, youth unemployment is also one of the key issues on the minds of especially young people. There are those who have finished school for a very long time and are finding it difficult to secure a job. So it's something that they'll be looking out for. In fact, both leading candidates have promised to create jobs when voted into office. And this is something that if the young people resonate with, then they would know which particular candidate they would vote for. But for first-time voters, we know that nearly 3 million first-time voters are expected to take part in this electoral process, and their decision will also matter in this whole process.
All right, Nabil, thank you so much for that update. Let's catch up with you a little later on and also see in the coming days then what happens. That SABC News correspondent Nabil Ahmed Rufai live for us from Ghana there.